What if I told you police decided to jump out on a man who was deaf and did not understand what was happening, decided to beat him up really bad? But that's not it. They were responding to a call of a white male who was being trespassed away from a store. They go to the white male that actually had the police called on him. The white male says, "Hey, officers, I'm not really the bad guy. You see that random black person over there? He's the guy. Go get him." Cops said, "Oh, that's the guy." Run up, brutally assault this black male. I'm going to give you a story that will break your heart. Put up the picture full mask. Taking you to Phoenix, Arizona, a black male who is deaf. He also has cerebral palsy, is now facing felony aggravated assault and resisting arrest charges, but he did nothing wrong. He was repeatedly punched and tasered by a pair of Phoenix police officers. The violent and rapid arrest of Mr. Tyron McAlpin raises serious questions and can serve as a test case for Phoenix and the Department of Justice as the two battle over whether the police department in America's fifth largest city needs federal oversight. I want to show you some of these pictures, okay, from the attack. They literally rolled up next to him, jumped out and beat him up. Nothing else. Nothing else. And then they continued to torture this man. He's deaf. Acting on false claims from a white male who was under investigation at that time. Body camera video shows officers unexpectedly go after McAlpin, punch him in the head at least 10 times, taser him 4 times, and wrap their arms around his neck. Now, I got to remind everyone, this department just got finished with a massive federal review. The Department of Justice said the department is racist. I'm summarizing the report, but that's what they said. And then after the report, this happens. There's more. Quote, "It's hard for me to see how the city can come out and say with a straight face that it is meeting the DOJ report head on when this man is being charged with assault on police officers for this incident," said Jesse Showalter, one of McAlpin's attorneys. Phoenix police officials did not answer specific questions about the arrest, but confirmed it is under internal investigation. Quote, "This incident is the subject of an ongoing investigation and was assigned to the Professional Standards Bureau on August 30th, 2024, end quote. But Phoenix police and Maricopa County prosecutors continue to pursue a criminal case against the innocent McAlpin. During a recent preliminary hearing, Maricopa County Superior Court Commissioner Nick Saccone found there was probable cause for his August 19th, 2024 arrest. McAlpin was arrested by officers Benjamin Harris and Kyle Sue. There was no probable cause, okay? There was no probable cause for an arrest. Maybe you have the prerequisite for a question, but you do not have probable cause to effect an arrest. The individual who had the police called on him is the one who said, "Hey, I need you to look at this black guy across the street. He did it." That's not probable cause. Not for an arrest. In their police reports and court testimony, the two officers stated that the innocent McAlpin was going to run, took a fighting stance, threw repeated punches, would not comply with commands. He's deaf. McAlpin's attorney said body camera video and surveillance footage show the officers' claims are false and said there's an obvious explanation for why he could not comply. Quote, "The answer is easy. He's deaf. He couldn't understand what they were doing, and he had done nothing wrong." End quote from the attorney. Quote, "Everything I see in that video is Tyron just trying to avoid being harmed by these officers? And that only makes them increase the escalation and the violence that they're using. End quote. The arrest happened 2 months after the DOJ released a historic and severe report outlining a long list of systemic failures within Phoenix Police. Among the problems cited by the DOJ, the following issues are also raised in this arrest present: racial bias, excessive force, dangerous use of tasers and chokeholds, and violating the rights of people with disabilities. They did it all on one man, and literally that's what the report says. They do all the damn time. Put up these pictures. The violent arrest stems from a morning call from Circle K employees who reported that a white male was causing problems and would not leave the store. That's according to the official report. While being trespassed, meaning they told him to leave, he wouldn't leave. They called the police to issue him a trespass, which could have landed him in jail. While being trespassed, the man claimed he was actually assaulted by a black man and pointed across the street at the innocent McAlpin. Officers, twiddle-dum, Officers Harris and Sue took the man's claim as gospel, left the white male who was under investigation for illegally trespassing to run after Mr. McAlpin. The man's assault claim was later refuted by store employees and surveillance video records show. After handcuffing McAlpin, his girlfriend arrived at the arrest and told the officers that he was deaf and he had cerebral palsy. She says it right in the video. According to body camera footage, none of the officers at the scene included any of the information about Mr. McAlpin's disabilities in their reports. None. Said nothing. Other people had to tell the officers, what are you doing? He did nothing wrong. This individual is literally trying to just be. Officers didn't put in their report because they knew they had done something severely wrong. Well, they do it all the time. It's part of their culture. DOJ report outlined it. Put them up. Here are your officers. You got Ben Harris. You got Kyle Sue. Okay. Both Harris and Sue were called to testify during a preliminary hearing October 1st, 2024. You won't believe this. Harris testified that he immediately went hands-on with McAlpin within a second because he believed he was going to run and was going to fight. He just had a belief. It was just in his heart that this is what this black man is going to do. So I must violate all of his rights. He raised his hands in a manner that he was going to strike me, Harris said during cross-examination. What they communicated to me is that I was about to get assaulted. Not that someone was giving up. So what the officer is doing, and the judge is playing along with this sick-ass game, he's providing his standard, which is always subjective. The officers get to have a subjective standard when it comes to reasons for their actions. Now, you can't do that. I can't do that. Our standards must be quite objective. Somebody who's reasonable has to agree that our actions were reasonably done. But an officer simply has to prove parameters of mind, meaning their own thinking. And their own thinking will then subjectively qualify the actions that happen thereafter. And once again, the judge is allowing this game to be played. Harris also testified that he did not know if it was possible that McAlpin raised his hands to protect himself from Harris's sudden punches in response to a question from the prosecution. Harris said everything could have been avoided if McAlpin just indicated he was deaf. That's what they literally said on the stand. Quote, I would have had him sit down, made motions with my hand to have him sit down, And then I would have gotten the pen, end quote. Now, mind you, they rolled up on the man, jumped out immediately, and beat him up. They gave no command. They just start physically attacking him. Okay, there's more. As for Officer Sue, he also testified that he saw McAlpin throw punches and claimed that he was bitten on the wrist during the arrest. Officer Sue's body camera fell off at the beginning of the arrest and only shows the ground. When asked to pinpoint the moment on Officer Harris's body camera footage when the bite occurred, Sue stopped when the camera was pointed upward. McAlpin was not in frame. Put it up. I'm going to tell you what happened. As he was choking McAlpin, he put his own fist inside of McAlpin's mouth. You understand? Circumstantial. I guarantee you that's how it happened. Defense attorneys asked Sue if it was possible he scraped his wrist on the ground or McAlpin's open mouth as they punched, choked, and tasered him. But Sue said no and denied using a chokehold on McAlpin. In a bizarre moment to refute the defense's claim about causing the scrape on Sue's wrist, the prosecution asked him to stick his hand in his mouth and rub it on his teeth. When Commissioner Saccone ruled he had found probable cause for the felony charges to move forward, he did not give an explanation as to why. He's provided cover for these cops because he knows good and damn well all of these charges are going to get dropped. These cops are going to be sued. And once again, the city will engage in a playful game of defund the police. But they're okay when the police defund the police. They just get upset when Black people say it. All right, Francesca, horrible story.
Yeah.
Very sad. The whole game that's being played in this city is ridiculous, and the DOJ needs to get more involved than they were.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like it's amazing the kinds of excuses that can come out of a police officer's mouth.
Yeah.
I watched the video, and this poor gentleman, he's looking down. He's leaving. He's looking down. His head's down. The police car rolls up. He tries to go around. He's just like, oh, this car's in my way. I'm gonna go around.
Yep.
Then he looks up, and all of a sudden, two officers are jumping out of their car, and they're already beating on him. So of course, and at that point, Doc, like, you don't even know if they're police. Like, you don't even register that they're cops. They're just two people who are just assaulting you. So of course you're going to put up your hands. I mean, and again, that's not to say that you wouldn't already, even if you did know they were cops. No one is willingly going to be punched in the face, but cops regularly call that resisting, which is absolutely, and that's a human rights violation straight up. But again, I mean, it's just incredible that these gentlemen will likely keep their jobs. And as we've seen, it's the taxpayers who are going to pay any payout to the victims of their, basically deputized gangs that run amok in cities like Phoenix and everywhere, right? I mean, the amount of payouts that taxpayers have to do because of this negligence. And if only it was obviously the context of this arrest is wild because, like you said, it is based on a white suspect saying, no, that Black guy over there. What did he do? Did he fly? How did he get over there? Like, what are you talking about? So there's that. But I think the other thing is, like, why is throwing a fist first acceptable in any line of work, but especially if you're a police officer? How is that acceptable? Is he threatening you? Does he have a weapon out? No, no, and no. There's nothing about that situation that says anyone is under any kind of threat. And so they should immediately be fired from the force.
Yeah. And the irony that they accepted the word of a white male who was under investigation without any corroboration at all. They then violate the rights of this individual. And for the Department of Justice, you can get involved now. There's a deprivation of rights here.
Yes.
So all of these consent decrees, that's great. It's a beautiful thing. But at the end of the day, you may need to make some examples out of police officers who continue to violate citizens in this country.